go 3-1?
No. I mean, like, Sean and I would be just too much. Oh, no. What's going on, guys? Today, we're going to talk about, what do I call it, TIS. Tweaks, injuries, and setbacks. So before we kind of kick it off, we all kind of give our examples and stories here. These are all perfectly normal things that happen when training, I just competing in CrossFit or really anything. Life, like injuries, setbacks, tweaks are going to happen. There's an inherent risk with just living and enjoying life. Now, what we do in the gym, outside of the gym, through sleep, mindset work, nutrition, movement inside and outside of the gym, is we're making your body more resilient and less likely to experience those things. But no matter how fit you are, the things you're doing, it's inevitable. It's going to happen at some point. We're just trying to reduce those risks of tweaks, injuries, and setback. TIS. So I'm going to kick it off to these guys, and we're all going to go through maybe like an example that we've all experienced in our life. With training, in the gym, out of the gym, kind of the examples there. So Mr. Peter, why don't you kick us off?
I'll start. So about like 6 years ago, I was still in high school, so didn't really have as much basic knowledge as I do now. Didn't really warm up properly ever. Kind of followed these programs that maybe weren't built smartly, but so one day it was the bench day, and I was always that ego person going really heavy, and the day required quote unquote ultra wide grip benching.
Required.
So if you look at like a barbell and you see those lines on it, my index finger was all the way on those lines, and I'm going heavy with it. So no warm up, I have this bar out, and I do my set, and I hear a pop in my shoulder. So it doesn't hurt, but then the next day I realize I can't go past like my body with my arm. So I go to the doctor, and they tell me nothing's wrong with me, even though for the next 6 months on, I had slim range of motion in my arm, and I couldn't even bench the barbell. So what I learned from this was that I needed to take warm-ups extremely seriously, and then I needed to focus on rehabbing that injury. So even in college, I remember being in my dorm room, I grabbed like the heaviest object I had, which was a Gatorade bottle, and I'd do some some rotator cuff exercises with it, just so that I could get that range of motion back and kind of start healing it. Now to this day, 6 years later, still have flare-ups every once in a while, but it's something I really regulated by actually taking a course of action once the injury happened. So, Abby, you got a story?
I do. This was, I want to say like probably 3 or 4 years ago. I had a banger of a vacation. It took about like 7 days off. Probably didn't work out once during that time. Just wasn't consistent with eating, went out to eat, indulged with some adult activities, if you know what I mean. And then, so body was in flames. I also traveled in a car about 6 hours down, 6 hours back. And I remember being so excited to come back. I actually remember the workout was heavy squat cleans. I love squat cleans. And I just kind of jumped back into business. Felt great, high fives after the class. Went to go take a plate off of the barbell and put my position in a very odd way, and I never felt pain like this. It went from my heel all the way up to right below my lower lumbar, right up into my glute there, and it took me down. I remember just like seeing stars, feeling so nauseous, and I think Nolan wheeled me over in the chair, and
you got carried over there. Rob Gary and I carried you over to the chiropractor.
So it was just a very, very odd instance where very scary, because at that point in time it was just so painful to walk. Anyway, knowing that it wasn't the squat cleans that did it, it was not taking care of my body in a way, just kind of jumping back into class and getting under heavy weight, and not really being smart about reintroducing working out after having a week off. And so every once in a while I'll get the flare up, just like very relatable to Peter here. And what I've learned from that is, you think of our body as like a little bit of a car. We take our cars to get oil changed every, 3,000, 5,000 miles. We should work on our bodies too, whether that be we got introduced to chiropractic work or massage. So that paired with corrective work that these gentlemen hold me accountable to. Knowing that that is what I need to continue to lift heavy, which I love, also do things outside of here that I love. So it's really about now knowing the body and doing the things that I need to do to make it feel good.
And how do you feel now?
And now I feel great.
So my story is, I've always prided myself in striving to move well, be a good mover within the things, within fitness. And right around 2017, towards the end there, maybe a little sooner, I remember I was doing a workout, and I was doing a snatch, and it's pretty, it was a good weight, and I tweaked my shoulder in that particular workout. It wasn't that movement per se, but looking back at it now, what I can see, the stacking is kind of what Abby mentioned, like the things that had contributed to that was focusing more on doing more things within the gym and less focus on the things outside of the gym or even the maintenance that my body was craving and needed to be balanced, to thrive, and things of that nature. And like Peter had mentioned, it's something that had happened, many years ago, 2017, and can still present itself at times to this day if I don't take the appropriate action. So the biggest thing that I took away from having that happen to me was I was putting performance in front of health, and I wasn't doing the things necessary in the appropriate ratios that needed to put health first. And Noel and I were just having a great discussion about this. What came from that was kind of like a beauty in disguise of educating myself on understanding the body better, how to rehab myself, giving those tools to myself to essentially heal myself and keep myself strong and healthy. Then we sought out professionals in the space that could also teach us more, got the whole team involved with that, and now it's something that we actively use, whether that's somebody coming into the gym to onboard into group classes, or something that we actively use in our one-on-one assessments, or on each other to hold each other accountable to the necessary work, corrective work, exception work, things that we all need that are unique. I think we are all completely honest, we all have an area of our body that can stand out and present more troubles than the other. For me, my shoulders. For you, your
Lower back and shoulder.
lower back, and it was in the past for you, it was your back,
back,
and then
yeah.
for you it sounds a little bit like the shoulder. So everyone has a thing, so becoming a student of the game of the body and always learning and educating, and now we're bringing that back into what we do and giving that back to others has been a very powerful and rewarding experience from something that I guess we could label as something not so good. So
So my story is actually, it starts outside of the gym and then eventually transitions back into the gym. In January, I got COVID in January. Ended up being home, I think, for what felt like 97 years. I think I was home for 26 days with my girlfriend. We were living with her parents at the time, so imagine that. But during that 26 or 27 days at home, I ended up getting COVID smack dab in the middle after having to quarantine with exposure and then whatever. Put me in bed for 5 or 6 days, and when I finally got out of the house, I'm like, I'm gonna go right back to doing what I was doing. So I think Emily and I went to the garage. We're trying to do this workout, and it was 10 rounds, I think, of burpees, double unders, and some other weightlifting movement. I remember being 4 rounds in, and I'm like, oh my god, this is awful. Just shortness of breath and kind of the lingering effects of having been sick. So kind of the big lesson I took away from that is the return, where in my mind I'm I'm fit, I'm strong, and yeah, we've been building up this resilience to recover and get back in the gym, but I needed to ramp back up very, very slowly to get back to where I was. I think it probably took me about 4 or 6 weeks to finally get back to where I didn't have shortness of breath. I wasn't still sore in areas that I had been feeling sore from being sick. So I learned to be more patient, where if you do have a tweak, injury, setback, it's okay to take time to get back to where you were, because it can seem like this long road to get back to where you were or where you want to be. Oh my God, it's going to be forever for me to get there. But really, how fast does 2 or 4 weeks go by? We're in November now. It was just October, September, not too long ago. So learning that, yeah, it's okay to slowly ramp back up, because that's necessary, and not trying to jump right back into what I was doing or where I was, because those things just really aren't really aren't. I don't want to say it's not possible. It takes a while to get back there.
Patience for sure.
Yeah.
In the realm of what we can provide as people who've gone through it on that side, and then on the coaching side, we want to offer you guys 4 recommendations when dealing or experiencing with any form of a tweak, a setback, or an injury that we know can be helpful, we've seen be helpful if you experience one, or obviously if it presents itself in the future. Let's kick us off.
Something very important, and I learned this myself because I think Sean mentioned, like we all kind of have areas that we tweak or don't feel that great. For me, it's my back, and as soon as I started to communicate about that, that's when it became different for me. Like in the beginning, I would just deal with it, pound my head against the wall, not really trying to make any changes. But as soon as Sean had been started working with some chiropractors who are really well known in the CrossFit space, that's when things started to change. So being vulnerable and honest enough to communicate when you are experiencing a tweak, an injury, a setback, and just learning hey, like what can I do, what is possible, what is the best path for me, how do I navigate this the best way and the quickest way possible. But just being open and communicating about that can be a great first step in solving those issues and dealing with the tweak, injury, or setback.
Second tip is just be open-minded about maybe changing some things. So group class is fantastic for everything that it's good for, being that like all around area where to get fit, have friends, all of that, but it's not necessarily the greatest place to deal with those tweaks, where it could be better to actually open a dialogue with one of your coaches, let them know what you're feeling, what's going on with you. That way we can create a better course of action for you to get that problem solved for you.
And then when it's communicated, because we create a space where you guys can be completely open. So, once the conversation gets started of, hey, my elbow's feeling a little funky, or my knees not feeling the best, listening to us. But what I mean by that is we always have your best interest at hand. So if it's okay, my knee's feeling a little buggy, maybe we're not going to back squat today below parallel. We're going to create a target, we're going to work some tempo resistance training, and this is going to help you progress with that pain, get out of pain, and allow you to still be in that group environment, which we know you all love because we like to be with our friends and all of that. And then also making suggestions of outside of here. I know that there's a couple of times where, working late, oh man, I just worked a 12-hour shift, I'm on no sleep and I'm coming in, okay, maybe if it's not the suggested weight, maybe we take that down a notch and just reduce the volume, because we want to listen to our body, we want to be open, just like Peter said, with our training, and be smart, because we wouldn't want to take 3 more steps back. We want to progress in that. So listening to the coaches, listening to your body, and kind of rerouting accordingly there.
And then, to close the loop, shift your training temporarily. And we've seen and experienced major success here with people where we know a lot of people love to be in the group environment. We're getting a call right now, probably for someone. Shift your training temporarily from the group environment to a one-on-one based environment with a coach who can actively work to solve your problem. Group class is not designed to solve individual unique problems. That's a one-on-one based setting. And he's back, a one-on-one setting. And we've had major success here with people who have had herniated discs, back injuries, reconstructive ankle surgery, you name it. Knee replacements. It's a place where we can focus specifically on the individual, build a plan, whether that's last 4 to 12 weeks or somewhere in that time frame, and then get the individual, if they desire, back to that group program. It serves as a rehab. Also within that comes out maybe some goals, some resetting of some goals, that happens too. And it's a temporary shift, it's not forever, and it can help solve your problem. So all those are great resources and thoughts going into if you're experiencing something as little as a tweak, like something doesn't feel right, or maybe a mild setback, and then something as severe as an injury that is holding you back, and maybe even, like we talked earlier, prevents you from wanting to come because the thought, I can't do X. Well, let's work to solve that problem so you can get back to doing whatever it is that you want to do. Anything else?
Yeah, I think that we said it too, is that the first thing that we might think of is, oh man, I pulled something, and we go to the doctor immediately. Obviously the doctors are there for so many, that's an avenue for so many things, but the communicating with us, and sometimes what they'll do is they'll hear CrossFit and it's okay, stay away from that. That's where we have worked so hard in bridging that gap in that personal training and that one-on-one setting to, again, get you back into that group class, which can give us that longevity and that vitality that we're all looking for there.
Tits.
Tis. Injuries and setbacks. Tis.
We're saying tis.
Tit. T-I-S.
Until next time.